In about 12 hours from now, something very important is going to happen. And to not keep you in this suspense for too long, it's the weekly close of the markets that we're all pretty excited about, but also pretty weary of, because for Bitcoin, it's the first time in a pretty long while that we're back at these 200 weekly moving average levels. And so, depending on where we close later this night, it might set down some strong indications of where the price is heading next. Having said that, based on some other people's analysis, we actually concluded a little bit earlier that the probability of the S&P making its bottom right here and continuing some bullish momentum is rather large. Again, if you look back at all the signs which we covered in yesterday's video, it just seems as if there's not a major recession coming from other factors, which potentially could only be seen on like a dollar chart or be seen with some insider knowledge not based upon the S&P chart. It's looking as if it's basically bottomed out and will continue towards the upside from here. And as we've already established a while earlier, Bitcoin usually follows suit. Right now, we've already broken above a 400 and something day trend line, a little bit over a year. Actually, almost a year and a half here of downwards momentum. Bitcoin has broken that. And we can see it on the 12-hour a little bit better than over on the, I'd say daily is even better actually. So we can see here, we had ourselves a little breakout, fell slightly below at time. And even though the general direction is still upwards with these lower spots, which are in this case still higher bottoms, this was a good correction, and we would have only gotten weary or bearish the moment that it broke below this little $20.5 thousand area. And since it didn't, we were still remaining pretty bullish, pretty optimistic. And thus, it did not take long for Bitcoin to actually pound back through. You can see the massive candle that we saw a couple days afterwards, and we got above this major trend line and back at the 200 weekly moving average. Really, it's the first time we've tested this in a very, very long amount of time. On the weekly, we describe it like this. We've had this massive downtrend. The last time we had a close at this level was all the way back in August of 2022. That's the moment that we broke below the 200 weekly moving average, and we have not seen any test of it in the midst. You could potentially say that once here in September, we attempted it, we got pretty close, but first of all, the 200 weekly moving average was $2,000 lower right there, and second of all, again, our close was not really that close by. You get it? Right now, depending on where the price moves throughout the next 12 hours or so, we might actually be able to close above the 200 weekly moving average, which sets some ridiculously bullish momentum. People will go crazy because of it. And again, taking a look a little bit deeper, we have tested that level a couple of times already. And we're basically waiting for some sort of breakout to occur. And most signals are showcasing that it's probably not going to take too long before Bitcoin decides to make yet another move. And the probability of this being towards the upside, I'd say, is pretty high. But the only question is, will we actually be able to close above there in the next 12 hours or so? I want you guys to get or understand one little note here. What we've seen quite often, what we will keep seeing, is indeed kind of a pattern that I described here with this little red arrow. And what that is we get to a major level. We get ourselves a little rebound towards a previous support, a little attempt of a rally before getting shut down, before continuing towards the same level, and then testing it once more, then breaking out. Now, we can reflect that back upon the charts right here. You can actually see, hey, we get ourselves a new high or a local high that was made, a bounce back of the support, a little attempt to bounce off of the support before getting back to it, and then a breakout occurring with a slight little correction in the midst as well. It's not perfect in terms of width of it, but the general gist still remains. And you actually see this in a lot of ways, shapes, and forms every single time. And right now we can see that exact similar situation where we can just bounce off of this moving average, because that's the major zone that's everybody watching right now. Potentially get a little pullback if it gets rejected yet again, or if it does not break throughout the weekly close, that is, then get a little pullback here and just basically retest it after a couple of days and then break out. Because I still think the general direction for Bitcoin is upwards. We've also talked a lot about Ethereum and the crucial position that it's in. It's kept retesting this zone at roughly $1,700 so ridiculously many times, but it's never broken through. Right now, depending on how we end this week, it could also be the denominator, I guess, or the final breakthrough of this loop that's lasted since September of 2022. And we'll get ourselves one of the most bullish closes in about half a year, which again is pretty juicy. The XRP narrative remains a little bit less positive because even though we have made ourselves a couple of bottoms here, XRP keeps retesting that. it's still fighting itself some resistance at this zone. It just keeps getting back to that 40-cent region and not breaking above it. Again, it's been in this range since May of 2022. It is yet to break above the 200 weekly moving average with some confirmation, and that will only happen once it crosses 50 cents and gets itself a confirming candle afterwards, because as you can see, we actually had a couple of touches and a couple of closes above there, but no continuation afterwards. And so with XRP, we're a little bit more wary. And even though the general direction right now has remained upwards, because you can see we made ourselves a bottom, and right now, after making a new high slightly after what we saw right here, we still have yet to see whether or not XRP can continue to push on, which is why I have these little red circles here to suggest where I'm hoping that the price is going to get to next. This could be a little bit higher, but we have yet to see that. So for XRP, it's a little bit less exciting right now. Again, one thing I should really make clear here is that right now, with the way in which Bitcoin is moving, it could really be so that we're back at these $50,000 levels or even higher than that within a couple of months from now. And the difficulty here comes in the fact that people don't seem to understand just how quickly these rises go the moment that the bottom has been reached. Right now, we've actually been in a really negative state for Bitcoin that's unprecedented. But history shows that every single time we get to this trend line, we bounce off of it with a lot of severity and just kind of continue to go upwards. There's not been a single time where it's remained in kind of like neutral territory for more than 100 days. And right now, since the moment we got to this line, it's already been roughly 119 days. So I personally think the push is here. And I should quickly say, if you guys are looking for a platform to trade on, there's a link down below to BitGet, which is the exchange that I use a lot. I use Bybit and BitGet, both of them, it just depends. But right now on BitGet, there's a launchpad sale going on, which basically means this. A new project is launching soon. And because it's launching on BitGet, people that are on the platform get a chance to buy into it early. However, it is based upon the amount of the BitGet token that you hold. Again, whether or not you're bullish on that, that's besides the point right here. It's just a prerequisite to be able to get you into this sale. You can kind of see here your average BGB holding over this period from the 16th to the 20th. Will decide how many tickets you get to potentially get yourself some tokens. And I've been looking around to the previous sales that BitGet has done, and most of those turned out to be pretty damn lucrative. Oh, actually, officially, the ticket accumulation ends today somewhere. And I took a little look at the previous launches that BitGet's done. I have a little sheet of different performances, as that's part of my job, I guess. And I see plus 76% on NOT, plus 153% on ZBC, plus 3,000% basically on BOT, plus 260% on Kyoko, and then plus 240% on Revo. And this is the first launch since all that. Again, you guys might actually be too late if you did not watch my video yesterday talking about why I'm buying into it, or at least getting my chance to get into it, right? Because sometimes there's no better thing you can do than, this system right here. It sucks, but it's the way it is. Just based upon the history that I'm seeing right here. Again, I check through a lot of things before I buy in. It just makes sense for me to try it out. And again, just make sure you join BitGet and Bybit, but specifically right now, BitGet, a link is down below. And that's mostly because whenever there's more sales like this, I'm going to always keep buying in. How you find it is go make yourself an account on BitGet, a link is down below. There's also a couple $1,000s worth of trading bonuses that you can get for absolutely no cost to you. It's always a good thing to check those out. And once you've made your account, you can find that stuff over in the, if I can show it to you easily, the rewards tab right here, rewards hub, and the launchpad stuff is right here under launchpad, which is this new sale that is coming out. And based upon history, Penna Farm could pretty easily do a couple 100% from the launch price, which is the easy answer as to why I'm buying into it, or at least attempting to, as in this system here, it's a lottery system. It's not a guaranteed allocation, but it is what it is. Again, to enter, you need KYC, etc. Just check it out for yourself. And you might be too late for this one, but at least make sure you're set and ready for the next one and see the performance of it. See if it does well and then decide for yourself if this is a good thing to buy into next times. Just know that I talked about it and that I think it's a good one, but that does not mean that it will always do well. Hopefully you guys understand. Also, I'm not a financial advisor. All I'm sharing is my own personal investments. And yeah, I'd say that's it for our video for right now.